Hey guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. So what's up, you guys? I just got home. I got my skincare on because we're just relaxing, and I got changed, put my serums on my face and my under eye stuff on my face. I got a couple blemishes down here that I just got done squeezing, so don't mind that. Nate's in the bathtub. I'm fixing to get him out of the bathtub. Neil's upstairs laying down because we traveled to my parents' house today. Hey, Tasha, been missing you, girl. Oh, I know you were on vacation. I remember because I want you to know I got an NA book. It should be here on Tuesday. So we're going to start doing the NA readings on Sundays. So I hope you guys are excited for that. I am, because I'm going to learn. I've never done the AA book. Hey, Robbie. The NA book. So I have Sonia sent me the Narcotics Anonymous book, you guys. It'll be here on Tuesday. And I'm sure the minute it's here, I'll share some of it with you guys. But what we're going to start doing is we're going to do Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Those are going to be my regular live streaming schedule. No, I didn't. He just texted me this morning, though. And so that's what we're going to do. It'll be Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. We'll have NA on Sundays, AA on Tuesdays, and then we'll have the MAT support group on Fridays. So that way we have like an equal amount of different options for people who want to try different things. And just remember that, like, these aren't meetings, but this is a way for you to kind of fill out what the content is, like in their books and stuff, so that way you can, make a decision whether you want to do AA or NA, or, and for the MAT support groups, like, that's just totally brand new. Like, they don't even really have a lot of MAT support groups. There is this thing called MERA, Medically Assisted Recovery Anonymous, and I think they have one in like Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or something like that. And it's a meeting, and it's based around the 12 steps only for medically assisted recovery for people that are on Suboxone and methadone. Yeah, bud. Play for a little bit longer, and then I'll get you out, okay? Mama's on a live stream, and I don't want us to get you out naked.
I just want to get out.
Okay?
Look on the right ground.
I see that. It's all wet. Did you dump that out? No. I'm going to have to clean that up. You know that, right? That's the thing. It makes mommy's job a lot more difficult, son, when you do that.
I just want to get out right now.
Okay, well, okay.
Can I count to 1, 5,
Yeah, I'm going to grab you.
5, 4, 3.
Hold on, guys. Let me grab this kid. No, I'm not taking a picture of your kind of. Come on.
Keep your face right here.
Boy,
Do it! Do it! You're gonna see me.
No, they're not. You're going to go in there and get dressed with your daddy.
I just say hi, did it?
You want to say hi? Okay, child. Huh? No, I got my hands full, son. Now dry off. Okay, so that's what we're going to start doing. We'll have, like I said, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, you guys. I'm going to get you some clothes, son. We've been doing, and then, so what else did I want to talk to you guys? This room is a mess, child. Okay, let me get you. Ashlyn did not do this. Don't blame me. Ah! Okay, son. Hold on, buddy. Let me get you a t-shirt and some clean on chonies. Lord help me. Okay, here you go. Take that in there with your daddy. Here. Your name. Yes, my son. Okay, this room is a mess. I don't even want y'all to see it. It's so messy. Nate, do not. Boy. No, they're not going to see you. That would not be good.
I'm going to cover that eyes.
No, there'd be crazy people out there that would do that. Here, take that and get dressed. I got a streaker over here, y'all. He's streaking through the house. There you go. There's your clothes. Get dressed like a big boy.
Daddy wants his underwear.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go downstairs so I can talk to you guys now. Sorry about that. Let me get that put up there. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, now I can talk. So, I want to talk to you guys about the struggle. Okay. I know it's hard, you guys. I have some friends that are going through the struggle right now. And, there we go. I wanted to talk to you guys about staying in the course and not giving up when you get faced with adversity. Because sometimes, you guys, it's just gonna be hard. You're gonna be staying sober and shit's still gonna happen, right? Because that's just how life is. You know what I'm saying? Just because we're sober and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing today doesn't mean that our life is going to become easier. Life is still life. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about that. I know for me and a lot of other people that were newcomers at the same time as I was, I had this expectation that, life was going to be easier and that because I was sober, that things will just be different because I had gotten sober. But there's a saying that they say in AA, and it's called living life on life's terms. Living life on life's terms. What that means is exactly what it says. Not living life on your terms, but rolling with the punches, okay? Let me tell you all a story about something that happened to me when I first got sober, and a couple other things that have happened to me throughout my sobriety that have they've been wrenches in my, they've been trip ups, hiccups in my, I thought I got sober that I wasn't going to go through that shit because I was sober, but y'all, just let me tell you something. It's still hard. Life is still hard. We use drugs. Sorry about that, you guys. I am so sorry. Please don't leave. Okay. We use drugs and alcohol to cope with situations that we normally don't know how to cope with, right? Or just to dull our senses out. So when we get sober, we are wide open. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are feeling everything. Everything is brand new. Things can become overwhelming. It's almost like, I swear to God, I cry all the time now that I'm sober, you guys. My feelings are so sensitive, and I feel so much now that I'm sober that it's I just feel so many feelings today that I never felt when I was using drugs. And so things are going to happen in your sobriety that you would think they wouldn't happen, right? Because now that we're sober, bad things don't happen. But things can still happen. And what you got to do when those kind of things happen is you've got to raise up. You got to rise up, stand up, get up, and fight back and work your ass off to keep doing the next right thing. Because what happens, you guys, is the enemy is going to form against you. Okay? Whatever your religious beliefs are, it could be the devil, it could be a spirit of bad whatever, but the enemy is going to raise up against you. Addiction is going to raise up against you because addiction wants you to be high. Addiction wants you to choose death because that's what addiction is, right? The enemy is going to come against you because you're doing the right thing. And so when those things happen, you got to raise up and say, no, not today. I'm not going to allow you to steal everything I've worked so hard for just because of a few bumps in the road. And that's what I had to learn pretty quickly. When me and Neil first got sober, we were struggling real bad, y'all, financially. We had nothing. We moved into this house and we automatically started having to pay, $1,000 a month in rent and car payments and insurance and for my son's stuff and just all kinds of things that, we didn't usually have to pay because we just didn't pay those things when we were getting high. And so I remember our washing machine broke down. This was 3 years ago, not just this last time. And I was freaking out. I couldn't believe it. And I was so upset. And I thought, why, God? Why? I'm living my life right today. Why are these things happening, right? And that was just a small thing, like my washer and dryer breaking down. I've also had situations where I've gotten fired from my job in sobriety because I fought a girl at my job and I lost my job, y'all. And I didn't get high over it, because that's the thing. Like, when these bad things happen in your life, y'all, you don't have to use drugs and alcohol. You can work through it. And that's why we have to start building a support network around us and people that we can reach out to when we're struggling. Because just because we're sober doesn't mean we're not going to hit hardships, Right, Hey, Kit Kat. Love you too, girl. Thank you so much. Means so much to me. Hey, Courtney. Yeah, that's what it is. You got to face things. And that's what we have to do, you guys. We got to stand up and face things and not be loaded, And sometimes that's hard because we haven't ever felt those feelings before, right? And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to feel those kind of feelings, to feel, hardship or confrontation or sadness or grief, right? Get any worse, it gets worse. Yeah. And I feel like, things come in threes. And you guys, this might be a little bit superstitious for me, but like things would happen to me in three-part intervals. Like I lost my job, the washing machine broke down, and then me and Neil had an argument, or something like that. And then I'll be like, oh my God, like can life get any worse? But that's the thing, like, while you're sitting here and you come in here and you hang out with me, like, these are things that you guys can be putting into practical application in your life. Like building a support system, okay? Having someone that you can call day or night that you can reach out to and talk to when you're struggling. You guys, I'm telling you right now that your support, your sober support is going to be one of your biggest allies because you cannot do this alone. It's so hard to do it alone. And you don't have to do it alone. So you don't have to do that. It's so much better when you can, have people that are there to support you and love you and help you love yourself while you're growing and learning how to stay sober. And that's what I hope to help you guys realize by being here on my channel is that there is support out there, and we will help you and we will love you until you can love yourself. And we will help you learn new ways to live and stay sober without drugs and alcohol. That's what I hope I can help you guys learn over here, is that, life isn't going to stop going, but we don't have to get high over life anymore, And so I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit because I know the struggle is real, and I know you guys, it can be very, very depressing. Believe me, I struggle with mental illness, and sometimes I have to just push myself to get up and get out, I have to just push myself one foot in front of the other because there's some days, you guys, I don't want to do shit. I just want to chill out, but I can't just chill out. I got to be a mama, And I'm so grateful to have that opportunity to be a mom. But I'm telling y'all, that doesn't make me not human, and it doesn't make life, any easier. So I just wanted you guys to know, if you're struggling and you're going through something right now, reach out, call someone, reach out to somebody that is sober, that you can talk to. All right. Never feel like you're burdening anybody, because that's the thing, you guys, like, that's what our minds tell us. Your mind is going to tell you that you don't need to reach out. Your mind is going to tell you that you don't want to bother people with your problems. Your mind is going to tell you that you should be able to do this on your own, right? These are all lies that the disease of addiction tells us, right? I should be able to handle this on my own. They're not going to want to hear from me. Ugh. It's all lies. The only way a person in long-time sobriety stays sober, you guys, is by having a conscious contact with God, their higher power, and continuously practicing checking themselves and checking their motives and giving back what was so freely given to them. Did you hear that last part? And part of giving back and doing service work is helping other addicts and alcoholics, right? And so that's just part of what a person like me has to do to stay sober. That helps me stay sober. So it's never a burden when somebody reaches out to me and wants to talk, ever. Because it reminds me about things that I used to go through when I was like that. You know, a lot of the times when you guys call me and we talk, it's because I've been through the same situation and I can relate, you know, and you guys help me to remember what it was like when I was going through those situations. And that helps me stay sober. That helps lock me in and make me remember you guys for real. Because I don't want to ever forget how bad it was, and I don't ever want to go back. You know, so sometimes I need a reminder. Sometimes I need a refresher course. I'm super excited about doing the Narcotics Anonymous reading, you guys, because I've never read the Narcotics Anonymous book, but I'm so excited to do it with you guys, for real. So it's Sunday, and I was thinking what we could do is I could read you guys one of the stories out of the back of the book, and then I'll go ahead and get the heck up out of here. Okay, so I know that Jamie likes it when I read these, so I'm going to read you guys a story. Okay? Okay. Yay! Okay, I know which one I want to read y'all to. I don't know if I've read this one to you guys or not. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to make sure I hadn't read the same one, okay? Okay, I've read that one before. Okay, I think I got one. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. Okay. Here we go. Y'all ready? All right, so we're on page 349. Hey, the mole, what's up? I'm actually going to read you guys a story, okay? It's out of the back of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a personal story. So the first 164 pages of the big book, you guys, is the meat and potatoes of the big book, right? It's how to work the steps. It's how to decide if you're alcoholic. It's all the chapters that you're going to need to know how to go through steps 1 through 12. And then after that, they have personal stories that people, put in the book for Bill to give to us. So that way we have examples of different, situations with addiction and alcoholism. So that's what the back of the book is the personal stories. And that's what I'm going to read to you guys. I love reading people's stories. So we're going to read one of these personal stories. And I hope that I hope you guys can relate. If you don't, and always remember, when I'm talking about alcohol, if your drug of choice isn't alcohol, always replace it with your drug of choice. Meth, cocaine, opiates, whatever it is, right? Hey, that's what I love going to meetings, the mole. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome. Okay, good deal. That makes me happy to hear that. So we're on page 349, and this story is called It Might Have Been Worse. Alcohol was a looming cloud in this banker's bright sky. With rare foresight, he realized it could become a tornado. Here we go. How can a person with a fine family, an attractive home, an excellent position, and high standing in an important city become an alcoholic? As I later found out through Alcoholics Anonymous, alcohol is no respecter of economic status, social and business standing, or intelligence. That is so true, because it doesn't matter if you are rich, poor, black, white, dumb or smart. It does not care. Alcoholism and addiction do not discriminate. I was raised like the majority of American boys, coming from a family of modest circumstances, attending public schools, having the social life of a small Midwestern town with part-time work and some athletics. The ambition to succeed was installed in me by my Scandinavian parents who came to this country where opportunities were so great. Keep busy, always have something constructive to do. I did work of all kinds after school and during vacations, trying to find that which would appeal most as a goal for life work. Then there was wartime service to interrupt my plans, and an education to be picked up after the war. After that came marriage, getting started in business and a family. The story is not very different from that of 1,000 other young men in my generation. It shows nothing or no one to blame for alcoholism. The drive to get ahead to succeed kept me too busy for many years to have any great experience with social life. I would have begrudged the time or money for alcohol. In fact, I was afraid to try it for fear that I would wind up like many examples I had seen of excessive drinking in the Army. I was intolerant of people who drank, particularly those who drank to an extent that interfered with their on-the-job performance. In time, I became an officer and director of one of the largest commercial banks in the country. I achieved recognized and national standing in my profession, as well as becoming a director in many important institutions having to do with the civic life of a large city. I had a family to be proud of, actively sharing in their responsibilities of good citizenship. My drinking did not start until after I was 35 and a fairly successful career had been established. But success brought increased social activities, and I realized that many of my friends enjoyed a social drink with no apparent harm to themselves or others. I disliked being different, so ultimately I began to join them occasionally. At first it was just that, an occasional drink. Then I looked forward to the weekend of golf and the 19th hole. The cocktail hour became a daily routine. Gradually, the quantity increased and the occasions for a drink came more frequently. A hard day, worries and pressure, bad news, good news. There were more and more reasons for a drink. Y'all hear that? It didn't matter if it was bad news, good news, hard work, cocktail hour. He was finding more and more reasons to drink. That's how it happens. It progresses. Same with drugs. Why did I want increasingly greater quantities of alcohol? It was frightening that drink was being substituted for more and more of the things I really enjoyed doing. Golf, hunting, and fishing were now merely excuses to drink excessively. I made promises to myself, my family, and my friends, and broke them. You hear that? Breaking promises. That's one of the things that short, dry spells ended in heavy drinking. I tried to hide my drinking by going places where I was unlikely to see anyone I knew. Hangovers and remorse were always with me. The next steps were bottle hiding and excuses for trips in order to drink without restraint. Cunning, baffling, and powerful, the gradual creeping up of the frequency and quantity of alcohol and what it does to a person is apparent to everyone but the person involved. When it became noticeable to the point of comment, I devised ways of sneaking drinks on the side. Rehearsals then became a part of the pattern, stopping at bars on the way to or from the place where drinks were served. Never having enough, always craving more. The obsession for alcohol gradually began to dominate all my activities, particularly while traveling. Drink planning became more important than any other of my plans. Okay. Sorry. I tried the wagon on numerous occasions, but I always felt unhappy and abused. I tried psychiatry, but of course I gave the psychiatrist no cooperation. I was living in constant fear that I would get caught while driving a car, so I used taxis part of the time. Then I began to have blackouts, and that was a constant worry. To wake up at home not knowing how I got there, and to realize I had driven my car became torture. Not knowing where I had been or how I got home was making me desperate. It now became necessary to have noon drinks. So now he's like drinking earlier and earlier. At first, just 2, then gradually more. My hours of work were flexible, so the returning to the office was not always important. Then I became careless and returned sometimes when I shouldn't have. This worried me. The last 2 years of my drinking, my entire personality changed to a cynical, intolerant, and arrogant person, completely different from my normal self. It was at this stage of my life that resentments came in, resenting anyone and everyone who might interfere with my personal plans and ways of doing things, especially for any interference with my drinking. I was full of self-pity. I will never know all the people I hurt, all the friends I abused, the humiliation of my family, the worry of my business associates, or how far-reaching it was. I continue to be surprised by the people I meet who say, "You haven't had a drink for a long time, have you?" The surprise to me is the fact that I didn't know that they knew my drinking had gotten out of control. That is where we are really fooled. We think we can drink to excess without anyone knowing it. I always thought I had everyone fooled, you guys. I thought I could get high and go to family activities and my mom and dad wouldn't know, but they will always know. Everyone knows it. The only one we are fooling is ourselves. We rationalize and excuse our conduct beyond all reason. Man, this fucking chapter is spitting facts right now, y'all. This is a good story. We need to highlight the whole page. Okay. My wife and I had always encouraged our children to bring their friends home at any time. But after a few experiences with a drunken father, they eliminated home as a place to entertain their friends. At the time, this didn't mean much to me. I was too busy devising excuses to be out with drinking pals. It seemed to me my wife was becoming more intolerant and narrow-minded all the time. Whenever we went out, she appeared to go out of her way to keep me from having more than one drink. What alcoholic can be satisfied with one drink? After every cocktail party or dinner party, she would say she couldn't understand how I could get in such a drunken stupor on one drink. She, of course, didn't realize how cunning an alcoholic can be and the lengths to which he will go to find ways to satisfy the compulsion for more and more drinks after having had the first one. Neither did I. Finally, our invitations became fewer and fewer as friends had more experience with my drinking pattern. 2 years before I joined AA, my wife took a long trip during which she wrote me she just couldn't return unless I did something about my drinking. It was a shock, of course, but I promised to stop and she returned. A year later, while we were on vacation, she packed up to go home because of my excessive drinking, and I talked her out of it with the promise I would go on the wagon for at least a year. I promised, but within 2 months, I began drinking again. The following spring, she left me one day without giving me any idea of where she had gone, hoping this would bring me to my senses. In a few days, an attorney called on me and explained that something would have to be done as she couldn't face returning me as I was. Again, I promised to do something about it. Broken promises, humiliation, hopelessness, worry, anxiety, but still not enough. There comes a time when you don't want to live and are afraid to die. Some crisis brings you to a point of deciding to do something about your drinking problem. Listen, you guys, if your drug of choice was heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, listen. There comes a time when you don't want to live and are afraid to die. Some crisis brings you to a point of deciding to do something about your using problem, to try anything. Help you once continually rejected, suggestions once turned aside are finally accepted in desperation. The gift of desperation. The final decision came when my daughter, following a drunk of mine that ruined my wife's birthday, said, "It's Alcoholics Anonymous or else." Of course, this suggestion had been made before on a number of occasions, but like all alcoholics, I wanted to handle my own problem my own way, which really meant I didn't want anything to interfere with my drinking. I was trying to find an easier, softer way. By now, it had become difficult to visualize a life without alcohol. However, my low had been reached. I realized I had been going down and down. I was unhappy myself and had brought unhappiness to all who cared for me. Physically, I couldn't take it anymore. Cold sweats, jumpy nerves, and lack of sleep were becoming intolerable. Mentally, the fears and tensions, the complete change in attitude and outlook bewildered me. This was no way to live. The time for decision had arrived, and it was a relief to say yes when my family said they would call Alcoholics Anonymous for me. A relief even though I dreaded it, feeling that this was the end of everything. Early the next morning, a man whose name I knew well, a lawyer, called me. Within 30 minutes, I knew AA was the answer for me. We visited most of the day and attended a meeting that night. I don't know what I expected, but I most certainly didn't visualize a group of people talking about their drinking problems, making light of their personal tragedies, and at the same time enjoying themselves. However, I had heard a few stories of jails, sanitariums, broken homes, and Skid Row. I wondered if I really was an alcoholic. After all, I hadn't started to drink early in life, so I had some stability and maturity to guide me for a while. My responsibilities had been a restraining influence. I had had no brushes with the law, though I should have had many. I had not yet lost my job or family, even though both were on the verge of going. My financial standing had not been impaired. Could I be an alcoholic without some of the hair-raising experiences I had heard of in the meetings? The answer came to me very simply in the first step of the 12 steps of AA. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. This didn't say we had to be in jail 10, 50, or 100 times. It didn't say I had to lose 1, 5, or 10 jobs. It didn't say I had to lose my family. It didn't say I had to finally live on Skid Row and drink bay rum, canned heat, or lemon extract. It did say I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable. Most certainly I was powerless over alcohol, and for me, my life had become unmanageable. It wasn't how far I had gone, but where I was headed. It was important to me to see what alcohol had done to me and would continue to do if I didn't ask for help. At first, it was a shock to realize I was an alcoholic, but the realization that there was hope made it easier. The baffling problem of getting drunk when I had every intention of staying sober was simplified. It was a great relief to know I didn't have to drink anymore. I was told that I must want sobriety for my own sake, and I am convinced this is true. There may be many reasons that bring one to AA for the first time, but the lasting one must be to want sobriety and the AA way of living for oneself. From the start, I liked everything about the AA program. I liked the description of the alcoholic as a person who has found that alcohol was interfering with his social or business life. The allergy idea I could understand because I am allergic to certain pollens. Some of my family are allergic to certain foods. What could be more reasonable than that some people, including myself, were allergic to alcohol? The explanation that alcoholism was a disease of twofold nature, an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind, cleared up a number of puzzling questions for me. The allergy we could do nothing about. Somehow our bodies had reached the point where we could no longer absorb alcohol in our systems. The why is not important. The fact is that one drink will set up a reaction in our system that requires more. That one drink is too much and 100 drinks are not enough. The obsession of the mind was a little harder to understand, and yet everyone has obsessions of various kinds. The alcoholic has them to an exaggerated degree. Over a period of time, he has built up self-pity and resentments towards anyone or anything that interferes with his drinking. Dishonest thinking, prejudice, ego, antagonism toward anyone and everyone who dares to cross him. Vanity and a critical attitude are character defects that gradually creep in and become part of his life. Living with fear and tension inevitably results in wanting to ease that tension with alcohol seems to do temporarily. It took me some time to realize that the 12 steps of AA were designed to help me correct these defects of character and so help remove the obsession to drink. The 12 steps, which to me are a spiritual way of living, soon meant honest thinking, not wishful thinking, open-mindedness, a willingness to try, and a faith to accept. They meant patience, tolerance, and humility, and above all, the belief that a power greater than myself could help. That power I choose to call God. A willingness to do whatever I was told to do simplified the program for me. Study the AA book. Don't just read it. They told me to go to meetings, and I still do at every available opportunity, whether I'm at home or in some other city. Attending meetings has never been a chore to me, nor have I attended them with a feeling of just doing my duty. Meetings are both relaxing and refreshing to me after a hard day. They said, get active, so I helped whenever I could, and I still do. A spiritual experience to me meant attending meetings and seeing a group of people all there for the purpose of helping each other. Hearing the 12 steps and the 12 traditions read at a meeting, and hearing the Lord's Prayer, which in an AA meeting has such great meaning. Thy will be done, not mine. A spiritual awakening soon came to me, trying each day to be a little more thoughtful, more considerate, a little more courteous to those with whom I came in contact. To most of us, making amends will take the rest of our lives, but we can start immediately. Just being sober will be making amends to many we have hurt by our drunken actions. Making amends is sometimes doing what we are capable of doing, but fail to do so because of alcohol. Carrying out community responsibilities such as community funds, Red Cross, educational and religious activities in proportion to our abilities and energy. I was desperately in earnest to follow through and understand what was expected of me as a member of AA and to take each step of the 12 as rapidly as possible. To me, this meant telling my associates that I had joined AA, that I didn't know what was expected of me by AA, but that, whatever it was the most important thing in my life for me, that sobriety meant more to me than anything in this world. It was so important that it must come ahead of everything. You guys, this story has so many good things that sobriety has to be above everything, you guys. Above your family, above your job, above everything. Because if we don't put our recovery first, all the things that we have now, our families, our jobs, our kids, those will all go to the wayside if we get high. There are many short phrases and expressions in AA that make sound sense. First things first. Solve our immediate problems before we try to solve all the others and get muddled in our thinking and doing. Easy does it. Relax a little. Try for inner contentment. No one individual can carry all the burdens of the world. Everyone has problems. Getting drunk won't solve them. 24 hours a day. Today is the day. Doing our best, living each day to the fullest is the art of living. Yesterday is gone and we don't know whether we will be here tomorrow. If we do a good job of living today, and if tomorrow comes for us, then the chances are we will do a good job when it arrives. So why worry about it? The AA way of life is the way we always should have tried to live. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. These thoughts become part of our daily lives. They are not ideas of resignation, but of the recognition of certain basic facts of living. The fact that AA is a spiritual program didn't scare me or raise any prejudice in my mind. I couldn't afford the luxury of prejudice. I had tried my way, and my way had failed. When I joined AA, I did so for the sole purpose of getting sober and staying sober. I didn't realize I would find so much more, but a new and different outlook on life started opening up almost immediately. Each day seems to be so much more productive and satisfying. I get so much more enjoyment out of living. I find an inner pleasure in simple things. Living just for today is a pleasant adventure. Above all, I am grateful to AA for my sobriety, which means so much to my family, friends, and business associates, because God and AA were able to do for me something I was unable to do for myself. That was so good. Okay. This is probably my favorite one I've read so far because it had so many gems in it. Let me fold this. Okay, so if we go back all the way back to page 349, let me look at y'all's comments real fast. Sorry, guys. Nicole, okay, thank you. That's awesome. Love to see you. Okay. Okay, Tasha, I love you, girl. One is too many, 1,000 is never enough. That's right. That's horrible. I like to see a fellow. I live in Florida so far. I've had. Oh, the easier, softer way. I know the mole. I tried so many times. Desperation is the gift, baby. It's a gift. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I was just reading back through y'all's comments. Okay, so I just love it when I can read through a story and I'm reading it and I can see myself and I can relate to what the person is talking about in the reading. Like when he's talking about it went from him occasionally drinking to drinking in the morning time, drinking during the all day long, drinking at night, and he started drinking for more and more different reasons. It didn't have to be, he could be happy, he could be sad. It says right here, it says the cocktail hour became a daily routine. Gradually the quantity increased and the occasions for a drink became more frequent. A hard day, worries and pressure, bad news, good news. There are more and more reasons to drink. Because the obsession, that's what it is. The obsession to drink or use drugs takes over. And then all that our minds think about, you guys, is that drink or that drug, right? And so we will go to the ends of the earth to get that substance into our bodies, right? And then when we take the substance into our body, just like with alcohol, for my heroin addicts, when the heroin and the fentanyl get into our bodies react differently to that drug than a person who does not have the disease. When we take heroin or fentanyl into our bodies, you guys, we like the feelings produced by that, okay? And that sets off that phenomenon of craving inside of us, and we want more. You give heroin or fentanyl to a non-addict and they're going to take it and be ill and not want anymore and say, get that shit away from me. I don't like being out of control. I don't like feeling this fucked up, right? Hey, Aaron. But you give it to somebody who has a disease of addiction. Whoop, we on and popping, baby. Give me some more of that. That's why we got to know that we can't take that first one. We cannot do it. We will go back and forth for many, many years. I would go back and forth. I just gotta have one, just one. I gotta relax. It's Friday night. I'm with my girls, right? And then I would go out and get high, and I'd be on a bender for 3 months, you know? And then I'd rise out of the ditch homeless looking like a crazy ass. And that's how it happens, because that delusion, you guys, that delusion that somehow, some way I can control it, right? That I can control it. I'm telling you guys, reservations that you can control your drinking or using, you got to smash that shit, okay? And I know it's hard. It's like breaking up with your lover. It's like kicking your old man out. It's like telling the bitch to get to stepping because she can't stay no more. That's how it is when you get rid of your drug of choice or alcohol. That's how it is when you say and you break up with your DOC. It's like, it's a fucking grieving process, because that was your best friend. That was how you coped with life. Okay? And now you're taking your best friend and you're getting rid of it. So now you got to find your own best friend inside of you, and you got to start loving you, and you got to start respecting yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why we do the things we do to ourselves, because we don't love ourselves. We don't got respect for ourselves. We're not taking good care of ourselves. We're sick. Hey, Amy. You guys, let's read this part too. Page 350, he says, I made promises to myself, my family, and my friends, and I broke them. How many of you guys, hey, Sugar Bugger. Hey, anytime, girl, you got it. I want you guys to know I love doing this with you guys. I love it. In fact, my phone's about to die, so let's go upstairs so we can continue reading, because this is I want to point some of the things that when I was reading that really stuck out to me, and I want to point them out to you guys. What are you doing, booger butt? Move on, Onyx.
Do you think I can go 3 at a time?
Yeah.
Okay.
There.
We can let you go.
Do it.
Okay, let me get my phone plugged in, and then we'll keep on going. Because there's a few things in here, and sorry my face is so shiny. I got my skincare on, y'all. I got my skincare on. Got to keep my skin looking good. Okay. You guys, I love doing this with you guys, so don't ever think that you're putting me out or anything like that. I love doing this. I get excited about reading with you guys, because this stuff gets me excited, because I can relate to it. There was a time when I read this book and I didn't understand what it was saying. I wanted to be sober, you guys, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to change my life. And I would go to meetings, get a sponsor, and I would hear what people were saying, and I couldn't. It was like, I don't know what it is. It was just like another language. It was like they're speaking Japanese. And something happened when my son got taken from me, and life just started to click. And ever since then, I've been able to understand, you know. Oh, I love Captain too. That's my girl. She's just a good friend, you guys. She's very loyal, and I love her to death. She really helps me, supports me, and let me just tell you guys this. It's been really difficult for me to find real, true friends on YouTube. Loyal friends that are the same kind of friend I am. And I'll tell you this. I've found that in Captain. She is a good, true friend. I'm talking about somebody that doesn't talk behind your back, somebody that's not two-faced. Like, she's the real deal. So I'm very grateful for her. But okay, let me read this to you guys. Okay, so okay, I made promises to myself, my family, and my friends, and I broke them. Short, dry spells ended in heavy drinking. I tried to hide my drinking by going places where I was unlikely to see anyone I knew. How many of you guys have broken promises to your family or your friends or your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your kids? I know that was a normal occurrence for me. I would tell my parents I would be there for Thanksgiving dinner. I wouldn't show up. Or I would tell my boss I would come in at noon, and I would be too fucked up to even go in. You know, it was something that became a normal everyday part of my life, was being ashamed, and not being able to show up. But today in my recovery, I can suit up and I can show up today, y'all. Oh my God, Sophia, what? What is an OUI, girl? What is that? All the time breaks my heart to think about it. I have so much guilt for the thing I did and how I acted in my addiction. Hey, Amber, Marissa, listen to me, girl. I feel the same way. Let me talk to you about guilt and shame, okay, sister? Guilt and shame for me have probably been one of the hardest things I've struggled with. Oh, Lord, Sophia, I am so sorry, girl. We just got to put him, listen, girl, you, and tell him, listen, bro, I love you, but you got to change your life. You know what I mean? You don't, and we can try, and we can like try to witness and try to talk to our friends and our family members who are still in active addiction, you guys. But unless they truly want to change, the only thing we can do is be a beacon of hope and shine that light in that dark place and try to love them and help them find their way to recovery, you know? But guilt and shame held me captive for a long time, like, especially with my son, you guys. I have so much guilt over having him taken when he was little that I have parented out of guilt for a long time, you know? I have been not happy with the 12-step in my town, very opinionated and pretty toxic. Thought I didn't like the program, but you have changed my opinion completely. I realized I didn't like most of the people in the rooms. Listen to me, girl. I absolutely understand what you're saying, and that's why I want to do these things on my channel, because here's the thing. I realized that it wasn't the program that I didn't like. It was the people who are turning me away, and I was missing out on such an amazing, amazing program that has helped me change my life. Like, through the 12 steps, you guys, I have found a new way to live my life and be a better person, and I could not have done it without the 12 steps. I couldn't have done it. And I understand exactly what you're talking about, because I have been judged for being on medically assisted treatment. But I keep on reminding myself that Bill W., the creator of this program, he wasn't like that. And he wouldn't want anybody to treat us like that. And that's why I tried to let you guys know that AA is not like that. It's not the program. It's the people. And that's what you got to also remember, is that we're sick people trying to get well, okay? So there's all kinds of people that are in there that they think they're doing good, you know? And they really believe in what they're saying, you know? If they're judging, a lot of people, it's ignorance. It's uneducated. They're not educated in whatever they're talking about. Or they misinterpret the big book and they take it out of context. Principles over personalities, right? And a lot of people with medically assisted treatment will take the big book out of context. But every time I can share with you guys where Bill shares about pills and being on pills and alcohol in this book, I always try to point it out to you guys when I'm reading. In fact, I think it was last week when we were reading more about alcoholism, the guy in that chapter was talking about how he was on sedatives and alcohol, and how he had gotten sober from alcohol, but he was still taking pills, and he was struggling to get off the pills, but he was still going to his meetings. You guys, if someone is just an alcoholic and that's all they are, amazing. But nowadays, a lot of people struggle with addictions. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay, most people struggle with multiple addictions, polysubstance abuse. And so I really do hope that you guys understand that if you go to a meeting and they're judgmental or they're nasty, do not think it's what the AA is about. Go to a different meeting. Try another meeting, because I promise you, you will find your place and you will find a meeting that's perfect for you. Because when you're trying to do the right thing, good shit happens. And you'll go in there and you'll find a place where you feel comfortable and you can find other women who are just like you, and it'll change your life. It'll change your life. But for the time being, you guys got me and we get to do this together, and this helps me. And like I said, I am not like, I'm not a representative of AA. I'm just an addict, alcoholic who is trying to stay sober one day at a time. And I like reading this information and learning this stuff with you guys. Like, I have probably read through this book, oh God, I don't know how many times. A lot of times, you guys, because a lot of times. But every time I go into this book, I find new gems of information, you guys, that I'm just like, yes, I can relate to that. And that gets me, like, I get just like so excited because I'm like, wow, this book just keeps on giving. It just keeps on showing me, like, yes, Nicole, you are an addict. You're an alcoholic. And, you know, I have got to keep on reminding myself that I cannot go back to that way of life. I cannot forget that, you know, that one is too many and 1,000 is never enough, right, you guys? Right? Because that's what my mind likes to trick me and say. So I highlighted some other parts in here that I really wanted to talk about. Oh, okay. This part. I was living in constant fear that I would get caught while driving a car, so I used a taxi part of the time. Then I began to have blackouts, and that was a constant worry. To wake up at a home not knowing how I got there, and to realize I had driven my car became torture. Not knowing where I had been or how I got home was making me desperate. There was a time when I was in my addiction, you guys, and I would drink so much alcohol, and I would party, and I would go home with men from the bar. And I remember one time in particular, I went home with a guy named Thomas. I remember this very distinctly because the guy had a yellow Jeep Wrangler. And I left my car at the bar. And he took me home with him. And I woke up the next morning in his bed with nothing but my socks on. And I rolled over and I looked at him and I said, "Hey, Dan, where's my clothes at?" And he looked at me and he said, my name's not Dan, I'm Thomas." And I said, "My bad." And I hopped up with my naked ass, got myself dressed, and that's when he said to me, "Well, you know your friend's on the couch." And I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean, my friend? I ain't got no friends. I ride solo. Solo dolo." And he said, "No, girl, your friend is on the couch. We had to get her dressed. She was butt-ass naked." And I went in there, and my sister's best friend, Stormy, was on the couch. So I woke Stormy up, and then I went to go look for my car. I went outside. I said, "Where's my fucking car?" And that's what he told me. "Your car's at the club. You came home with me." You guys, I didn't know this dude's name. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know how I'd gotten there. I didn't know where my keys were at. Nothing. You know? And it was funny. It was funny because at the time, I didn't realize what was happening. I didn't realize that I was crossing over into the land of no return, into straight up alcoholism and full-blown addiction. I was thinking I was still having fun. But I was just going, and I was ended up places I didn't know where the hell I was at. I could have went home with a serial killer and got chopped up. And I wouldn't be here to tell the story. Because that's what I did. I had no idea. I was in a constant alcohol and drug fog. Anyone could take me, you guys. Anyone. I'm not that person today, but that's what I was for a long time. I would go home with any Tom, Dick, or Harry. It didn't matter as long as you had a car and drugs, I was with it, you know? And I'm not proud of that, but that was my life. And, you know, it took many more years for me to get to a point where I realized that I was sick and I was desperate and I needed help. This is what I want to read next. There was a part here. This is it. This is so profound to me. This hit me like a ton of bricks. The following spring, she left me one day without giving me any advice and any idea of where she had gone, his wife, hoping this would bring me to my senses. In a few days, an attorney called on me and explained that something would have to be done, as she couldn't face returning me as I was. Again, I promised to do something about it. Broken promises, humiliation, hopelessness, worry, anxiety, but still not enough. There comes a time when you don't want to live and are afraid to die. Some crisis brings you to a point of deciding to do something about your drinking problem, to try anything. Help you once continually rejected, suggestions once turned aside are finally accepted in desperation. There comes a time where you don't want to live, but you're afraid to die. That was my life. I'd gotten to a point where I hated my life. I hated myself. I couldn't get up and look at myself in the mirror. I was disgusted. Every morning I woke up and I had to shoot up in my breast because the veins in my arms were gone. I couldn't hit my veins no more. I had gotten to a point where I used needles after whoever would come around. I was at the lowest I had ever been. And then my son got taken, and that hit me bad. When you get to a point where you don't care if you live or die, it sucks. But I'm going to tell you this. If you're at that point, you're getting down to the point where change is going to come. A lot of the times people reach out to me, you guys, when they're struggling and they're at that point where their change is coming because they're hating their life. They don't want to live like that anymore. They're uncomfortable if they're not happy. Yeah, Bubba.
Where's the remote control?
The remote control, is it over there in Daddy's hat?
No.
I'm not sure, son. And that is when change is coming. When you start getting so uncomfortable and so tortured by your own life, that's when change is coming. And that desperation, that I don't want to live like this another day, that's when it's time. That's when it's time. You just got to pull the trigger and reach out for help. And then this part too. The final decision came when my daughter, following a drunk of mine that ruined my wife's birthday, said, "It's Alcoholics Anonymous or else." What about when your kids are telling you, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, your addiction is affecting me. Your drinking is ruining my life." That's another thing. You know, that's a slap in the face. That's reality checking you. Like, we think that nobody sees it. This is another part that hit me, was when he was talking about he thought he had everyone fooled. But really, everyone knew that he was drinking around the clock. And the only person that he was fooling was himself. That's what we do. The only person that we're fooling is ourselves. Everyone else knows. Everyone sees how sick we are. And we are literally ripping their hearts out of their chests because they care and they love for us so much, but they don't know how to help us. So he got blessed with the gift of desperation, and that's what pushed him into changing, and getting sober, right? I like the part where he said, am I really an alcoholic? Like, I have a job, I have money, and this is a thing that I think a lot of people get confused, is they think because maybe they didn't lose their job, or they weren't homeless, or they didn't shoot drugs, that they're not an alcoholic or an addict. But you don't have to do those things to be an alcoholic or an addict. So let's talk about that. He says, "Could I be an alcoholic without some of the hair-raising experiences I had heard of in the meetings?" The answer came to me very simply in the first step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. We admitted we were powerless over drugs. that our lives had become unmanageable. This didn't say we had to be in jail 10, 50, or 100 times. It didn't say I had to lose 1, 5, or 10 jobs. It didn't say I had to lose my family. It didn't say I had to finally live on Skid Row and drink my bay rum, canned heat, or lemon extract. It did say I admitted I was powerless over drugs and alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable. Thanks for passing the gift of recovery forward. You're such a beautiful person. Oh, thanks, Erin. Hey, Nicole, just wanted to let you know I'm watching. I'm 13 minutes behind you guys because I didn't want to miss the beginning. Girl, the story. Yes, the story. You've got to listen to it. You're going to love it. So I feel like sometimes, you guys, because my experience in addiction was a little on the extreme side, I don't ever want you guys to think that because your experience in active addiction was different than mine, that you're not an alcoholic or not an addict. You know, you don't have to do all those things to qualify. If you were powerless over drugs and alcohol and your lives had become unmanageable, you're like me. We're the same, right? And if you didn't get to a point where you're on the side of the road homeless underneath a bridge, be grateful and thankful that you came and seen the light, that, you know, that desperation, that gift was given to you, and you grabbed those suggestions when you did. Because we don't want anybody to have to go through that. Some people just got thick-ass skulls. Like me, I'm just stubborn, and I don't listen. And it takes me experiencing horrible things over and over again to finally make changes. And that's what happened. I had to bash my head against the wall so many times that I finally made changes. You know what I mean? But you don't have to do all those things to be alcoholic or addict, okay? The only thing, like it says, is we admitted we were powerless over drugs and alcohol, that our lives had become manageable. So he says, most certainly I was powerless over alcohol, and for me, my life had become unmanageable. It wasn't how far I had gone, but where I was headed. Do you hear that? So it doesn't matter how far down you have gone. It's where you're headed. Remember, you guys, the disease of addiction is progressive. It gets worse, never better. So it doesn't matter if you're the president or the CEO of your company with a Lexus in a mansion. If you're shooting drugs and drinking and snorting pills, and I'm over here in the gutter, homeless underneath a bridge, you will eventually get to where I was at. You understand? The progression will get you there, right? It just might take longer, right? It's different for everybody. And, you know, each person, the progressiveness of the illness is like each person's progression is different than the other person's. Like for me, things progress so quickly. You know, I started drinking when I was about 17 years old. Then I started snorting cocaine. Then I started smoking pot. And then I started doing methamphetamine. And it was just like, it got so, I picked things up so quickly. And it was so, just the way things went so quickly. The next thing I know, it was 7 years later and I was IV drug addict, you know? It was like I woke up one day and I was strung out, you know? And that's what happens. So always remember that, you know, it's not how far you've gone, it's where you're headed. So remember that. I was told that I must want sobriety for my own sake, and I am convinced this is true. There may be many reasons that bring one to AA for the first time, but the lasting one must be to want sobriety in the AA way of living. So, just like he said, what brought me to AA was losing my son. Okay? What brought me in the rooms was my child being taken from me. But that was my motivation. But eventually, I wanted to stay sober for me, right? So whatever brings you here to my channel, whatever brings you into the meeting rooms, right? It might be different than what brought me, but eventually you're going to want to be there for you. because you're going to see the happiness. You're going to see that others are delivered from the obsession. You guys, I haven't obsessed over drinking and using in a long time, right? Every now and then, I will have fleeting thoughts about getting high. Me and Neil were talking about this today on the way home. I'll have a thought that, like I'm stressed out because work or somebody makes me mad, and I'll think, oh, it would be nice to do that, have a pill or something. But that obsession, that constant thinking and trying to find a way to get it and then planning out, I haven't felt that in a long time. I truly believe that my higher power has taken the obsession to use from me. There was a time in my life where I couldn't go 1 minute without thinking about how and where and why I was going to get drugs. But today I don't feel like that today. And I believe it's because I practice recovery. I talk to God. I talk to you guys, and I work with other people who are struggling with addiction. And I think that helps me to have this release, and that I feel like God just relieves that obsession and takes that obsessive thinking from me. And he's molded it into this obsession to help others, this passion to give back and to help other people, because that is what makes me so excited now. That's what gets me all pumped up. I'm like, yeah, I got to get on and do a meeting with my people. And I went to my mom and dad's house today, you guys, and I was telling them about you guys, and I did the video, and that's what I get pumped up about. But that's not how it used to be. I used to get pumped up about getting a shot and getting high. You guys, that's what used to get me off. But now I get off about getting to come help other people. And I remember when I used to not be able to help anybody. I remember when I couldn't even help myself. I remember when I couldn't even work a job. I remember begging money from people in the gas station parking lot. Please, can I have $2 to $3? Please, can I have $1? I remember doing that, you guys, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I will do anything I can to help other people, because I remember what it was like, and I'm never going to forget. I will never forget what it was like the day I lost my son, because that changed my life forever. And if that hadn't happened for me, I don't know where I would be. I probably wouldn't be here today. Today we were at my mom's house and we were talking about Nathaniel. I was talking about giving people I see, dollars when I drive by. And my sister's wife was talking about how she doesn't do that and that I should donate to the Salvation Army or to the Jackson House. And I told her, I said, I don't know what people are doing with that $1 I give them, but I'm going to tell you this. I don't give a damn, because somebody gave me $1 when I was out there on them streets. So I do what I can to help other people when I can. That's why I stopped and we helped Ann, you guys, because I've been there. I know what it's like to be out there and to feel like you have no other way out. I know what it's like to sit and contemplate suicide. I would be better off dead. My family would be better off without me. I remember feeling those feelings. So I just love being able to come on here and share with you guys that I don't feel that I have freedom from those feelings today. I'm not always happy, you guys, and I never want y'all to get it twisted. I'm not always happy. There's some days where I have a hard time. I was struggling this week, My heart was really hurt. I'm very, very sensitive, you guys, and I get easily hurt by others when they bring up my family, because I'm loyal and I love my family and my son is my prized possession. And so I was struggling this week, but I'm going to tell you something. There's nothing that could push me back into the arms of drugs and alcohol. I don't want to live like that today. I don't want to lose everything I've worked so hard for, and I don't want to lose you guys, and I don't want to lose my friends and I don't want to do that. I don't want to disappoint anybody, first of all, but I just don't want to get high today. Like, I don't feel like I want to, you know? But the thing about it is, I say all that to say this, you guys. Like, I used to be passionate about getting high. That was my passion in life. And today, I'm passionate about staying sober and giving back. God has replaced the obsession to use with a passion for helping and staying sober. And the only way I can explain it to you guys is that it's a miracle and that the 12 steps have helped me to change my life. Being able to sit down with other people who understand what I've gone through, like you guys, and share from my heart like I do here, has changed my life forever. Who is knocking? Stop. If I wasn't able to come and talk with you guys and share all this, like in the meetings too, you guys, when I first got sober, I would go to 3 meetings a week, okay? And I would go in there and they would call on me to share, and I would just break down crying and share about what I felt and how I was scared in early recovery, right? And they would all share back and tell me, you know, ways that I was going to be okay, and that I was staying sober, and that's all that mattered, you know. And then I started really listening, and then I started learning from the people in the meetings, and I started going to meetings where, like, I love the meeting I go to the most is a meeting where all the people at the rehab, because I remember being in that same rehab, you know, the rehab I graduated from. I love going there and being there with the kids that are still in treatment and letting them know, like, you're not alone. And if I can get my life together, you guys, anybody can. You know, a lot of people think because I'm on Suboxone that somehow, you know, I'm not working hard to stay sober and that, you know, my life hasn't changed. And I'm here to tell you that, you know, I shot methamphetamine and Roxy and cocaine, and I smoked crack, and I would do anything for a Xanax bar. So I could get high on anything I wanted to get high on today. You know, I'm on Suboxone doesn't mean that, you know, I cannot go out and get high. I truly feel like I've had a change in the way I think and perceive things. I've had a true spiritual experience, and I don't want to go out and do those things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you this. If you're a heroin or a fentanyl addict or a hardcore opiate addict, getting on medically assisted treatment, you guys, it really gave me the foundation to help me to not relapse, because that was something I struggled with, was constant relapse back and forth on opiates. So I cannot wait to get off this taper so I can show you guys that I can do it, and that if I can do it, you can do it, and that there's no amount of time, you guys, that you have to take, okay? That you just need to take your time, get yourself invested in a 12-step fellowship, get a sponsor, start working them steps, and get into some therapy, all right? And really get working on the inside, all right? Do you guys remember the question that I asked you guys the other night? I asked you guys, I think back to when you started using drugs and alcohol. What was it that kind of shifted you into drinking and using? Okay? What was it that you thought, you know what? I'm going to start getting high. Were you seeking validation from your friends? Did you want to be popular? Did you hurt? Did you have pain? Did you have trauma? Were you abused? Were you molested? Did you have abandonment issues? Did you have family problems? Like, what was it? Think about that. If you guys can start identifying and looking back in your past on the things that kind of changed your life and molded your life, right? And pushed you to where you're at now, right? It was covering up feelings. Jason, yes. And trauma. That's right. And if you can start looking back and identifying, then you can start working on those core problems, right? as far as I'm concerned, are a million miles ahead of street heroin. Oh, for sure. My husband cheating on me. Hey, Rhonda. Self-medicating, trying to cope with depression and anxiety. Absolutely, Marissa. And so here's the thing. Okay, Rhonda, so with your husband, infidelity. I can just imagine that probably made you second guess yourself. It probably made you think you're not good enough. And then here's the thing. So now that you can identify these things, ladies and gentlemen, and you can see, hey, this is what catapulted me into my addiction. Now, how are we going to work on that? What can we do, Rhonda, to get past that trust and infidelity? Okay, counseling, therapy, getting rid of him if you guys decided to work through it, marriage counseling, affirmations, telling yourself self-care, knowing that you're worthy and you're beautiful and you deserve the best and not to settle for less. These are all things that we have to, start doing to address that core issue, right? Because although that might have been years ago and you think, oh, well, it's years ago, I'm over that now. Deep down inside, you guys, those things still affect us. I got my ass beat for years by a guy I dated before I met Neil. And I was beaten so bad by this guy that I couldn't trust anybody after we broke up. And when I met Neil, I didn't know how to have anyone treat me good. And Neil opened the car door for me. He treated me like a lady. And I didn't know how to respond. I thought I was worthless. I thought I was no good. I thought I deserved to get my ass beat. And I've had to learn that nobody deserves that. And that my husband was the best thing that ever happened to me. And he came and he showed me what true love and respect for someone is, right? Okay, Marissa said self-medicating. Self-medicating, trying to cope with depression and anxiety. Okay, so Marissa, one of the main things that you need to do now that you're getting your life together and you're sober is you need to get to the mental health professional and get yourself on medication if you need to. One of the best things I ever did was go to my therapist and tell them I'm struggling with depression and anxiety. Now, y'all know they weren't going to give me no Xanax, but they put me on Lexapro and Wellbutrin, and it has helped me so much. I've actually had 3 different psychological evaluations to make sure that none of my diagnoses have changed over the 4 years I've been sober. Because what will happen is sometimes the way things are showing in us are because of our drug abuse, right? Good, Marissa, good. And you need to ask them if they can give you a psychological evaluation. Okay? So you have a psychological evaluation now, then in a year have another one, and then in 2 years have another one, because things might change the more sober you get. Nicole, I bet your dad was over the moon and in shock having his original daughter back from the dead. Yeah. You guys, my dad he's the shit. My dad is so cool. We had so much fun, you guys. But, Dad, we've always been tight, And whenever I was on drugs, you guys, I didn't come around for years. And my dad would cry and say, you're being beaten. He knew I was being beaten up by this guy. And he would just plead with me, please come home. Please quit. And I could just tell him, Dad, you don't understand. I can't quit. You don't understand. Now my dad understands addiction a lot more because he's went through it with me, right? But once I got the strength up to get better, it's changed my life. And now it can be a part of my family. I love it. I'm so grateful. But okay, so Marissa, like I said, try to have at least get yourself a couple of psychological evaluations once a year to see if your diagnosis changes. Be completely honest and transparent with your doctor about how you're feeling. Tell them about everything about your drug use. Tell them if you use stimulants. Tell them everything. Because all these things are going to play into, the way you're responding now. Because I know when I first got sober, you guys, I was like really like jacked up. It was because I had shot methamphetamine for so many years that is almost like my nervous system was messed up. And I had these like twitches. You can ask Neil. When I used to talk, my mouth used to go to the side like this. Have you guys ever seen a methamphetamine addict who was like tweaker, had tweaking tweaks? That was me. And I used to be so embarrassed. But I'm going to tell you, over the years that I've stayed sober, it's healed. It's healed. Thank you. Thank you, God. Because I was so embarrassed. But it was from years and years of me shooting up meth. And that's what I did. And 132 scale. I know, listen, Ian, I already told my mom and my dad about it. And my mom was like, that is so nice. I was like, I know, I have the best subscribers. I love y'all. Y'all are the bomb. And Nate is so grateful for you guys too, because he really, really does just love y'all. And he loves being able to come over here and say hi and all that stuff. So anyways, I love you guys. I'm going to get off here and snuggle up with the boys and get ready for bedtime. But I really, really enjoyed doing this reading with you guys tonight. That story, it just knocked me off my feet. I love hearing, stories that I can relate to in the back of the book. So, okay, remember you guys, Tuesday we're going to do the big book study, and we're doing the other half of More About Alcoholism. And then Friday we'll have the MAT support group. And yeah, if you guys have any like recommendations or suggestions of videos that you would like me to upload, anything you want me to talk about that's more specific, comment down below this video or any video and let me know, hey Nicole, I would really like it if you'd make a video about XYZ, and I will do it for you. You got it. I love you guys. I hope you all have a really, really stigma of addiction. Okay, I got you. I can do that. So, like the stigma, how people stigma, judging and think that every addict is the same. And you know what? The stigma of addiction, you guys, I feel like, you remember back in the 80s when crack was the drug of choice, and it was like a totally different time. I feel like now that heroin and the suburbs and all these things are changing, that addiction is starting to come to the forefront, right? How addiction doesn't discriminate. Hold on, let me write these down. Let me write these down real fast. Y'all go ahead and tell me what y'all want. All right now. Okay. Addiction stigma. Okay. Addiction doesn't discriminate. Okay, you got it. I'm going to make a video. I'll make 2 different videos for you guys, and I'll have them for y'all tomorrow. You know what? Listen to me about thinking everybody is judging you. Listen to me. I had to realize that I used to think the same thing, and it was because I was so awkward when I first got sober. I thought everybody was looking at me, especially because I had that thing, like I told y'all, my mouth would go like this. I thought everybody was looking at me. I thought everybody knew I was a drug addict. And over time, I realized, you know what? Nobody gives a damn about me. But I understand what you're saying. Like, it's an uncomfortable feeling. And we'll talk about that too, you guys, because there's a process that you go through when you're first getting sober where things are new. The feelings are so overwhelming. So feeling that feeling and thinking people are watching or judging you is totally normal. I can't even count how many people have said to me, wow, I would have never in a million years believed you were a drug addict. Oh yeah, Marissa, I understand that too. Yes. It's like, why? Anybody can be, kids, school administrators, family, etc. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I have a problem. The reason I struggle with people and their, I struggle with people that have a role, like they're over me, like authority figures, like teachers. Whenever I went to Nate's school for the first time, I thought everybody was going to know that I was in recovery, you know? Which they ended up knowing because I ended up telling them, right? But I know what you mean. And so, okay, methadone. Let's talk about methadone. Okay, hold on. Let me write it down. Because I want you guys, anything else, you guys, go ahead and give me your suggestions now while I got y'all on the phone. Hold on. Let me get my book out. All right. Okay. Stigma. Discriminate addiction. Just kind of abbreviating. Methadone. Thinking people are judging us. Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. I'm going to do those videos for you. Does your family complain about how long you've been on Suboxone? Mine still doesn't understand. Okay, so Aaron, you know, when I first got put on Suboxone, I called my mom because I came out of treatment and I told her, hey, Mom, you know, Nathaniel's in DHS and I don't know if I can stay sober, so I'm getting on Suboxone. And my mom had she didn't really understand what Suboxone was about. But I'm going to tell you this. The first year I was on it, my parents lived in New York. And they gave me and Neil tickets to come see them. So we took a train, me, Neil, and Nate, to come visit them. And that first year, I came up there and visited them for about 2 weeks. And when they saw, when they saw how clear-headed, how even I was, how, like, just great I was doing, they didn't even question it because they see the change in me, okay? And so my mom doesn't care if I stay on it for the rest of my life. She wants me to be happy and healthy. So Aaron, if your family is having questions or having a problem with you being on Suboxone, you need to have them come over here and watch some videos. It doesn't matter if you're on 6 years or 60 years. Whatever you're comfortable with. Here's the thing, Aaron. If you don't want to get off Suboxone, that is your choice. You need to be happy with what you're doing. And you have to realize that it doesn't matter what people think, okay? Listen to me. It took me a long time, you guys, to realize that it doesn't matter what people think, okay? It doesn't matter. If I'm on Suboxone for 30 years, the only person living my life is me. The only person living your life is you. If you're happy, you're productive, and you're living life and that's what you want to do, then girl, stay on Suboxone. Don't let anybody make you feel less than, and don't let anybody question yourself. The reason why I want to taper, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys all the time. I want to taper because the side effects I get from Suboxone, weight gain, lack of sex drive, have gotten to the point where I don't like that. So I want to get down to at least 2 milligrams and see if I get down to that, if I can get those feelings back, the sex drive and the weight, okay? I was in a cup. I have to be honest, I'm out off the street because it's cheaper. 1/4. Okay, so here's the thing. I know a lot of people do that, but listen to me, okay? And I know it's cheaper. This is the only thing, and I'm not judging you, girl, I worry about, because what happens if you can't get it one day? What happens? What will happen? You know, is there a way that you could get it prescribed, or you could get, you know, into a clinic like another way? That's the only reason, because listen, and I'm not judging you, girl. I have a young lady that is on my Patreon that I have been working with for like 3 or 4 months now, and she was doing the same thing, and she ended up finally getting to see a doctor and getting her own prescription. So I will never judge you. I just want you to be safe and do the best thing you can do for yourself. You know, I really, really do. It is expensive, you guys. I pay $200, okay? So I understand. Okay? Yeah, after 3 days, it gets rough. I always want you guys to try and go through a doctor, because I feel like that way you're also in therapy and you're being treated, you know? But I do understand that it's a struggle. I know the struggle, y'all. I understand. So I just want you to always try to be doing better, okay? So if that's what you're doing for right now and that's what you got to do. Oh, good. Good job. Okay, so listen. Are you going to taper completely off? 200 was a daily habit. Yeah, that's the thing, Aaron. Me too. Me and Neil, we would spend so much money a day. So that's how I justify it. It's like I was paying the same, if not more. You know what I mean? So, you know what? I just want you to be careful. And listen, if you get down to 1/8 of a strip and you're happy and you feel fine and you want to stay at that for the rest of your life, then girl, do it. You know? I tried to get off opiates myself and get Suboxone off the street, but I couldn't get enough and would always run out and go back to drugs. So I finally said enough is enough and went to the clinic. Marissa, yeah, good. Are changing my sub to 20 milligrams liquid methadone, Nicole. What? Why, Ian? Why? Do you want it to or no? Yeah, I understand that. Oh, because of the cost. Well, when you change over to that, let me know how you feel, Ian, because I would really want to hear. I've heard a lot of people that have struggled when they go from methadone to Suboxone, right? Yeah, well, you know, they have generic ones now, Ian. They have generic Suboxone strips now. You know, I'm actually like fine being on Suboxone. Like I said, the only reason I want to taper is because I want to get rid of some of the side effects that I have. But you guys, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Me too, Aaron. I get the pills too. If I get down to a point where I'm real low and I feel like I want to get high, I will go back up. You know. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, methadone. Listen, if that is, I just want you to be okay with the change, Ian. Like, is that something that you're okay with? You want to change to methadone, or do you not want to? You know. I will, and I heard the tail end off taper is shitty, but so is kicking heroin. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, well, listen, we're going to work through it. So, listen, what I'll do is I'll do some research about going from Suboxone to methadone, and we'll do a video about that tomorrow, you guys, okay? We'll talk about the switch from Suboxone to methadone. You should be fine, though, because you've been doing this for a long time. You're stable in your sobriety. I think you'll be just fine. I really do. I do think it's going to be a change in the way you feel, though, Ian. I truly believe that you're going to feel jacked up on when you go from sub to methadone, because methadone, Suboxone is a partial opioid agonist, okay? And methadone is a full. So you are going to feel a feeling, okay? And it's just going to have to get balanced out in your system. So be prepared, okay? Be prepared. Be prepared to not be driving around. Be prepared to just be chilling out at the house, you know, and so that way you'll be safe. But it's going to be a difference. You're going to tell a difference. Yeah, you should be, yeah, but because you're going from a partial to a full. So you're going to, but I think once you get, like I said, after a few days, I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But anyway, I love you guys. I hope y'all have a good day or a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tired, yeah. And I just wanted to, like I said, come on here and talk with you guys. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I know Marissa is new because Marissa emailed me. If you guys want to email me, you can email me on demeon@yahoo.com. It's in the About Me in the description box of all my videos. I also have a Instagram called Real Talk Recovery that I shared over on my community tab. So if you guys are on Instagram, come over and follow me on Real Talk Recovery. And yeah, I love you guys. I hope y'all have a great, great night. And I will see you guys tomorrow with some videos of all your suggestions. I will pop out some videos for y'all tomorrow afternoon, okay? All right, you guys. Love y'all. Good night.